So Donald Trump and JD Vance keep trying to distance themselves from Project 2025 because people have caught on and they've started reading up on it. They've started educating themselves about it, and more people are starting to speak out against it. I don't think Trump and Vance realized just how unpopular this was. I think they thought it would go under people's noses, but it hasn't. People begin to wake up and realize, you know what? Project 2025 isn't just some left wing boogeyman. It isn't just some talking point that people have cooked up to work against Trump. They're trying to tell us who Trump is, and they're trying to tell us what he plans to do. We've sat here on the channel and brought receipt after receipt after receipt of Trump saying, I know nothing about it, never met them, don't know nothing about who they are. We've showed pictures of them shaking hands. We've brought the receipts when Kevin Roberts said, you know what? I know he has to lie and say he don't know us. We understand why he's doing it. We're okay with that. We've brought all those receipts in previous videos. But just in case someone's wondering, where's the next receipt? I've got one more for you before we get to the heart of today's video, which is how will Project 2025 affect us right here in Blood Red, Tennessee? But before we talk about that, let's look at the director, Paul Dans, saying that they will be the engine room of the next administration. Take a look.
Do you have a relationship with him?
Well, sure. In my personal capacity, I'm a Trump supporter and have been down in Mar-a-Lago many times. But we have integration with folks on the campaign. The reality is, yes, we often supply ideas and ultimately we hope to offer personal suggestions. This is really going to be the engine room for the next administration. Many of these folks served and will be called upon to serve again. And I know President Trump's team will be receptive of it.
So before we keep rolling with this video, I just wanted to take a minute, thank everyone out there who has subscribed and liked these videos, shared them around with your friends. I truly appreciate that. We're closing in on 300,000 subscribers. I can't believe I'm saying that because just last month we hit 200. We've been averaging about 100,000 followers a month, and that is truly amazing. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. So if you don't feel like commenting, just leave a little blue heart. That always helps boost us in the algorithm. Or share it with your Fox News watching uncle. I don't care to be the guy that gets under his skin, because we just have to keep pointing out what it is that Trump's saying and doing. And we have to keep pointing out the kind of people that he is associating himself with. And don't let him fool you when he says that he don't know the people behind Project 2025. There he was saying, we will be the engine room for the next administration. What you got to understand is these folks aren't going away. The founders of Project 2025 and the ones that wants to see this extremism rule our government, they're not going to go away with Donald Trump. We're going to beat him come November. But when we do, we're going to be kicking that can down the road. We're going to have to contend with this for a long time, because these extremists aren't just going to pack up and go home. They're going to try to get behind another Republican president, and hopefully it won't be as successful, because I really believe that once Donald Trump is out of the political arena, that cult of personality, once it's gone, the batch of Republicans coming up are some of the most uninspiring people I've ever seen. So I really don't worry about the new crop of Republicans out there, because none of them, they all have the personality of a doorknob. But a lot of people would say, how's it going to affect us here in Tennessee, Brando? What's going to happen? Well, I highly recommend you go check out an article. Shout out to the Tennessee Holler. They shared this one, and I read it. It's from the AmericanProgress.org or AmericanProgress.org. Be sure to check out that article, because it lays out exactly what's going to happen in key parts here in Tennessee if this thing is actually implemented. And folks, it's pretty damn scary. When it comes to taxes, get this, a family of four would see an increase in their taxes of $2,400 a year, while people making $10 million or more is going to see a tax cut of $1.5 million. Now ask yourselves here in Tennessee, how many people you know making $10 million? How many people do you know? Because I don't know of anyone. That doesn't affect any of my friends. None of my friends are going to be getting that tax cut. Social Security, how many of you have family members right now living off of it? How many of you yourself are living off of it? I'm not here to throw stones if you are, but the founders of Project 2025 are, because they intend to make cuts on Social Security and raise the retirement age to 69. And when it comes to health care, they plan on putting limited or lifetime caps on Medicaid. Over 700,000 people here in Tennessee alone would lose due to the fact that they're low income. They would lose their coverage. When it comes to abortion, you can imagine just how radical and extreme this is. They plan to eliminate emergency contraception medications being mailed They want to bring back a law called the Comstock Act from 1873. Think about this, folks. When they say make America great again, they're wanting to go back to 1873, and they're also wanting to take legal action against local officials who refuse to bring cases against women who they say have violated state law. Folks, we would literally be living in The Handmaid's Tale, and that's not hyperbole. Again, go to AmericanProgress.org and read this for yourself. They want to eliminate Head Start. They want to increase payments on student loans, and they want to completely do away with public education. That's just some of the ways it would affect us right here in Tennessee. But don't let them dupe you when they say these things about, oh, we're just taking it back to the states. We're just letting the states decide. No, they go further than that and say that if you try to go to another state, you could be persecuted. So what's it matter? You know, that idea that we just turn it over to the states. Trump's even tried to weasel his way out of this one and be like, well, you know, some states will allow it and some states won't. So just go to the state that best fits your needs. But then what Project 2025 is saying, and these extremists are saying, is if you leave the state to go get the care you need, you don't have a right to do that. So don't let them dupe you when they say that they're against a federal ban. They're absolutely for a federal ban because they want this to stretch into all the states. They don't want there to be one big liberal state everyone can run to. They don't want you to have that freedom. They're not about freedom. They're about control. And this is a long shot from what the Republican Party used to be. They used to be all about accountability, responsibility, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They were all about, you know, being the party of limited government. But I believe that we're finally starting to either see the radical extremists come out, or maybe we're just starting to see the Republican Party's true colors. Because these people have been around a long time, folks, and they've just been sitting back waiting for that cult of personality that they could get behind. They truly don't care about Donald Trump. He doesn't care about them. None of them cares about one another. They just care about getting ahead. They just care about seizing power. Donald Trump is hungry for power. They're hungry for power, so they make for good bedfellows at this point. But neither one of them cares about the other one. Trump doesn't care about them, and they don't care about him because all they care about is getting a Republican in who will be their yes man. And Trump wants to bring in an administration on day one that will just be yes men to him. That's why his campaign is crashing and burning right now, because he has surrounded himself by nothing but yes men. And here goes Brando with another boxing analogy, but it's a true one. Mike Tyson was the most unstoppable fighter back in the 80s. Back when I was a kid, I loved to watch that dude box, man. He took people out quicker than anybody. That his highlight reels are epic. And his highlight reels are longer than some of his matches because he was just so quick at putting people out. And then he got beat by a journeyman named Buster Douglas in the Egg Dome in Tokyo, Japan. One of the biggest upsets, if not the biggest upset in sports history. And do you want to know why that Tyson lost that fight? Because he fired all of his good trainers. Customato was a boxing legend, had trained some of the greatest champions of all time. He's who taught Mike as a kid. People that worked with Customato, like Kevin Rooney, they continued to apply Customato's style of fighting to Mike Tyson, and he was unstoppable. But one day he got cocky. One day he got arrogant. He fired that entire team, and he surrounded himself by his buddies who did not know what to do when he got in the middle of a good fight. They didn't know what to do. He actually thought he was just going to walk out there in Tokyo, knock Buster Douglas out in one round, and come back home. And any other day of the week, he probably would have did just that. But Buster Douglas had just lost his mother. He didn't care about getting hurt. He didn't care about getting punched. So he just stood there and took it and gave it back to Tyson. And Tyson's trainers were complete lost balls and high weeds. Go watch it. They didn't even have Inswell in their bucket. I don't even know that they had a bucket. One of them tried to take a water bottle and fill a plastic glove with it and stick it on his head to try to bring the swelling down in his eye. And that's what we're seeing with Trump. He surrounded himself by his buddies who will just tell him he's the greatest fighter that ever lived. And now he's out there blowing it on the campaign trail. But if something were to happen, that he gets reelected, if we take our eye off the ball, he gets reelected, he's going to surround himself with these kind of people who wants to implement this. And once they're done with him, they'll have someone else. Someone maybe much younger, someone smarter, someone that's better at executing things and knows how to work the system. And then we're all going to be screwed. And that's not fear and hyperbole. I highly recommend you read that article at AmericanProgress.org, because I always say you got to bring it home sometimes and let people know what's going to happen right here in Tennessee if these things get put in place. But again, I thank you guys so much for coming along on this ride with me and subscribing to my channel. Truly appreciate all of you. Be sure to check out our members only content when you get a chance, because I've been reading from Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance, and we've been breaking down that book. I'm also going to review the movie in a future episode. So if you haven't checked out the memberships, do so. But again, thank you guys so much for buying the ticket and taking the ride with old Brando.